Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Kelly, the Chief of Police here in White Lake. On behalf of the White Lake Township and the White Lake Township Library, I would like to welcome you to our final Civic District Development Study Community Meeting. Thank you so much for being here this evening. For those of you who were not here for the previous meetings, I'm representing our District Planning Advisory Committee that was formed between the Township and the Library representatives to study an area of White Lake Township that we are referring to as our potential Civic District. It was important for our committee to solicit input from the community in this important process. This evening, we have our final presentation by representatives from the consultant group Inform Studio, who are here to share how the public input received has helped shape the potential vision for the Civic District. We are excited to share the final strategy that was developed through this process. Please help me in welcoming back Michael Guthrie and Eric Booster from Inform Studio. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Can we walk with this one? Yeah, it's okay. Good deal. We don't have a pointer here today. I apologize for that. So we're kind of working with the mouse. So forgive us if we go a little bit quick, forward, backwards on slides and things like that. Just to give a little bit of background on this, for those of you who haven't been present for the previous community meetings, essentially we began this process in mid-August with an analysis phase, and what we look to do is set up a series of impact groups in which we got information and then had community meetings. And those community meetings started in September, which was essentially our first community interest group meetings, and then an analysis with our steering committee meeting. And then we had our first presentation on September 13th. And essentially that was to outline the process, take a lot of input in terms of what would contribute to what we would look at in the Civic Center District. From there we developed 3 concepts, and those 3 concepts were then presented on October 18th. And essentially the idea was that those concepts were talked about not in terms of, hey, pick 1, 2, or 3, but a series of strategies that could be sort of collected together into one kind of synthesized solution. And so today, Eric's here to present how essentially all of the previous meetings, but really more the last meeting in terms of the different areas that were affected by input, in particular, how do transit, how does density, how do different programs in different areas all synthesize together into one vision. So really this is the presentation of the draft concept community presentation. So Eric's going to essentially run through where that sits now. Where we're going to go from here, just to give you a little bit of feel afterwards, is we will put together a document, and that document will probably be ready to be released to the township by the end of this month. And with that, then they'll upload that on their website, and it'll be available for anybody to look at and continue to understand what the direction of the township is. And so, without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce Eric. And also, we will be here afterwards. If you have any questions about anything on the presentation, we'd be happy to discuss it with you following the presentation. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike, and thank you everyone for coming out tonight to look at the concept that we've come up with based on synthesizing the plans that were presented in mid-October. Just to remind everyone, the area that we're looking at that we're calling the Civic District is the central area of White Lake Township. It's really defined by the intersection of Road 59 and Elizabeth Lee Road. We're looking at this area specifically because of the land that was purchased by the township as well as the library as a civic campus that can start to serve as a catalyst for spurring development in the surrounding areas, and in the goal of creating a central, walkable civic district that can provide municipal functions as well as public life, retail, commercial, residential opportunities. Some of the stats for the synthesized concept, the density and kind of the ambition was really scaled back as much as we thought was appropriate based on some of the feedback that we received. So we're looking at a built area of about 1.3 and a half, 1.4 million square feet through the full build out. So that's looking at space for 25 plus years down the line. We provided 2,200 parking spaces in this plan, which allots a 1 to 600 ratio. Right now, the parking is about 1 to 1,000, 1 to 1,200 ratio. So we're looking to really kind of scale back the amount of parking that is provided to really right-size the parking. So surface parking lots are minimized and parking spaces that are available are used, not just sitting empty. The full final build-out for the site provides 112 individual housing residential units, as well as housing that's available for senior housing and some mixed-use housing above retail and commercial opportunities. The kind of conceptual framework that was synthesized from the previous three concepts really focus on creating a centralized main street at the intersection of Elizabeth Lake Road and this existing commercial road, and how that intersects with the proposed Civic campus and starts to really define a grid road that can be established for developing this system of development. And then these individual pockets, as we're calling them, are opportunities to create public spaces and active public life. These can be parks, this can be playgrounds, this can be other public facilities that then really strive to activate the area with public life. Looking at this three-dimensionally, you can see how the pockets are formed from building masses, and the building masses also really start to define that main street feel that we're trying to achieve here along Elizabeth Lake Road and the intersecting commercial road. One of the things that was very important through the conceptual development was making sure that this district connected back to the surrounding neighborhoods, so that there were opportunities to interface with those neighborhoods, as well as create opportunities for those neighborhoods to come in and be part of this public development and part of the commercial retail opportunities that are available here. So you can see how these connections are formed through sidewalk connections, through crosswalk connections, through hiking and biking trails, in order to really connect these neighborhoods back to this central district that we're trying to encourage. Right now, this is the existing figure ground as it stands today. So you can see there are these large big box retail stores in this area, fronting on M59, and then a lot of single family residential with some long-term assisted care and rehab, and the elementary school down here. Our proposed figure ground uses these building forms to really reinforce that concept of the main street. So you can see that the building mass define these streets that then attempt to be walkable streets. So we're really trying to give the street back to the pedestrian and make these areas pedestrian friendly and walkable for connectivity. The existing floor area ratio right now is at 0.17, which is generally pretty low and doesn't encourage walkability. Your floor area ratio is your built floor based on the overall site available. Generally, a goal for denser urban areas is a floor area ratio of approximately 1. For our proposed schemes, we brought the floor area ratios up to closer to 2.3, 0.4 in some areas. So we've doubled the floor area ratio on the site, really in the goals of encouraging walkability and providing the sort of building density that encourages that walkability and connectivity. Part of our strategy when we look at reducing the surface parking, kind of right-sizing the number of parking spaces for the developed area, is focusing on a park-once district. So the idea being that visitors to the site who are primarily going to be via automotive can park in one location and have access to a lot of the development and amenities that are available within the district. So you can see from here the parking that's provided, the surface parking that's existing on M59, the surface parking that's proposed in a lot of these developments, and some of the walkout covered parking that's part of the township development down here. Some of these interior mixed-use commercial areas provide a walkable, connected network. So these parking spots are within a 5-minute walk of a large quantity of your amenities, and those overlap to really create access to a lot of these amenities via one-time parking. Part of our proposal as well was to really focus on creating connectivity through improving the transportation networks, and that's vehicular transportation connectivity, light transportation connectivity, as well as pedestrian connectivity. So we look at really starting to divide this area up into a logical grid so that there makes sense for vehicular traffic, as well as acts to slow vehicular traffic and encourage pedestrian and bicycle traffic. Part of our proposal as well is to really create this nature-focused hiking and biking trail. So our site is really surrounded by this hiking and biking trail that's part of the natural environment that exists in this area, and really starts to help connect this central district to a lot of the surrounding neighborhoods, as well as provide a transportation infrastructure. Another element of infrastructure that we looked at is stormwater management. Right now, the way the district is set up is that each individual parcel, each individual site has to manage their own stormwater runoff on site. What that does is it chews up a lot of buildable footprint with detention basins and expensive underground management. And so what we've looked at doing is really creating a regional type stormwater management system. So this low-lying area that's difficult to build in can become man-made wetlands that manage the stormwater for the entire region, as well as create amenity opportunities adjacent to our hiking and biking trails, so that these can become a beautiful natural asset that is an amenity as well as serving an infrastructure purpose. Looking at some of the overall programmatic elements, as part of the Oakland County kind of transportation strategy, they've looked at bike connectivity. And so part of their strategy along M59 is bike lanes. So we look at creating a bike lane connection along M59 here. And a little later in the presentation, we'll look at kind of the section of how that makeup works and how it can be used to promote safety for safe forms of bike transportation, as well as a safe area for the cars to function next to them. Again, we talked previously about this multi-use trail that really starts to connect the entire district through a natural amenity and reinforce the recreational type character of White Lake connection. Looking at a little closer at some of the individual programmatic elements, we've focused on locating the retail closer to the individual retail-specific programs towards the M59 Highland Road. So what you see in these light blue areas are your strictly retail functions. These are going to be 1.5 floor type buildings that serve strictly a retail function. They can house commercial opportunities for shopping, as well as restaurant opportunities. What these do is they start to create a transition from this high traffic vehicular flow and retail specific programming for the design, then transition into some of your multiple use type programming, your office space, your residential, your live work type units. So what we see at our main intersection here is mixed use programming. So this offers opportunity for retail, shopping, commercial, restaurant opportunities on the first floor, and then office or residential units up above that can serve to activate this area during the day. We brought in a senior housing specific element here, so we have a more apartment type housing that can be assisted living in one wing as well as independent living in others. It can be broken up into a lot of different ways, and then these single-family, aging-in-place, senior housing type uses as well on that site. Adjacent to them is a townhouse type walk-up residential units, and these serve as a transition from this strictly single-family residential neighborhood to the east here. We have live-work type units, which have really small-scale commercial opportunities on the first floor. That would be like your chiropractor's office, your dentist's office, your potentially the post office, or small bank facility, and then residential above. The medical office building, and then we come into the Civic campus, where we look at the town hall building that has a lot of public amenity space, featured up against the natural edge. Your public safety building, which would be a police and fire combined building, which is located on the south end of the site, which allows quick access to Elizabeth Lake Road and onto Tigerine to make connections to M59. Have a senior/community center, so we can have multi-generational programming opportunities. You can have activation at different times of the day to serve different functions based on the community needs. We have a daycare center with playground adjacent in this area, and then your library building is in development right now. And then some residential opportunities with public spaces again behind them that really start to create a nice public space adjacent to your natural edge. We looked at a interpretive nature center that can serve in this natural environment in one of the few high zones that exist in here. And then looking at boardwalk programming along the lake's edge for pedestrian public access. We're not proposing any boat access or anything that would increase traffic on the lake, but just allowing the public to kind of really experience the wetlands and the lake's edge. Looking at the rendered site plan, we start to kind of understand the proposed character of what the fully developed master plan can become. So we have these strong view corridors that really start to focus the activity towards this natural edge and this public amenity space that can be created along that natural edge. Again, we brought in a lot of green and paved public areas that can serve to really activate the public space and create opportunities for public programming. And then again, our built environment that really starts to create and frame that Main Street feel and define the grid definition. And just looking at kind of the programming functions, so you have your function hall down here with a lot of the programmatic space, and your public safety building, your library with a lot of great public space around it, your potential amphitheater that could really serve the public amenity for the region, and then connecting back to your hiking and biking trail that goes through the natural environment. Looking at a thought process on phasing. So again, this is thought of in terms of immediate current needs as well as what could potentially stir development and momentum for the entire master plan to move through. And so we looked at the kind of first phase of the first five years of implementation. The wonderful thing about these master plans is that they don't happen immediately, so they can be adjusted as time goes on and respond to the evolving needs of the township. What we're proposing for phase one is the library that's currently under development. Obviously, we'll start construction soon. A senior housing facility, we see that kind of as a emergent need based on a lot of the input that we've received from the community. Our township buildings that can partner with some of these commercial buildings to really start to develop the infrastructure that will need to go in through a partnership opportunity and really start to influence and create momentum for further development in the area to start to infill some of these areas that are potentially underserved by retail, commercial, residential opportunity. Phase 2 really starts to reinforce the Main Street idea by placing retail opportunities, commercial mixed-use opportunities at that intersection and reinforcing that corridor and that Main Street. Bringing in medical office buildings again, this is in response to kind of what we see as an imminent need and desire based on a lot of community feedback. And then some of our retail strictly programs that start to create a momentum up here that can start to kind of work, they can really work their way together so that they're starting at each end and working their way towards the middle to really create a unified, holistic development. Phase 3, again, expansion of some of those opportunities, expansion of some of the public amenities, the nature center. Just to go back quickly. So our community senior center, again, part of phase 2 to again try and get some public buildings in each one of these spaces. We understand that public facilities are generally difficult to raise funds for and get momentum going. So we look to try and implement one public facility in each phase to rely on some of the tax base that is being developed in these phases to really start to influence and encourage that infrastructure and that public. And then phase 4, kind of your final implementation. These are some of your infill items. So some of the residential units that will probably be more desirable once a lot of this Main Street feel is available. Start to infill some of these areas and then some more infill opportunities for some of the lots that are maybe underserved once a lot of this momentum moves forward. Just looking at a quick site section to kind of really understand how the buildings and the topography and the streets really work together to create this Main Street feel and provide maximum opportunities to what's available on the site. And so a lot of our proposal is focused on this tiered concept. There's a lot of topography on the site that allows the development to step up and make these developments as valuable as these developments because you have that stepped infrastructure that really allows views and connectivity from even furthest away developments to this natural amenity that's back there. Again, these streets are really focused on the correct scale for the development and the potential activity that we think is foreseeable in Wetland Township. And so when we look at right-sizing the scale of the sidewalks with their adjacent buildings to really create the maximum potential for public activity here, and then allowing for safe vehicular flow through these areas as well with on-street parking and a lot of intersections to really slow that vehicular traffic and make it as safe as possible. Part of these proposals, so this section is cut through the commercial mixed-use opportunities here and the township development down here in the corner. Really looking at maximizing the potential for public space by incorporating these walkout type parking lots. So they rely on the changes to bring in vehicular parking with potential decks above that can really serve as public active spaces. So we can have playgrounds, we can have parking environments in this area that would otherwise be given to service parking. We kind of strategically place these in locations that we think make sense, that can be affordable to the developers and the people who are using those facilities. The township, for example, has a lot of assets tied up in their fleet vehicles, and so having covered parking associated with that makes sense to kind of maintain those assets and encourage the ongoing use of those assets. And then for the commercial mixed-use opportunities, you have potential residential uses, you have commercial there that can really support this public space as well as support the infrastructure that goes into providing parking in this manner. And then a section of your typical kind of main street area. So again, we're looking at scaling the buildings, scaling the sidewalks, scaling the streets to an appropriate scale for the pedestrian and the foreseeable traffic within the township. Part of what we did in all of these streets is really try to incorporate a lot of natural elements and bring that natural landscape into these more developed areas, so that it has a strong connection to kind of the character of what White Lake Township is. You can see we have large landscape areas that in the street, we have large park-type landscape areas adjacent to the buildings to really encourage that active public space. And we have a few images that are really looking at trying to understand the character of what these streets could potentially be. And so you can see that the scale of the streets is generally pretty small. We've given generous sidewalk opportunities with close building footprints to really frame these streets and create these cohesive pedestrian-friendly environments. These sidewalks provide opportunity for exterior dining. They provide access to public spaces and potential opportunities for streetscaping, for benches, for really active public spaces. Again, this is along the back edge where we have our township building down here on the corner. There's that public park area. We have a generous public park that's adjacent to the street and goes into the natural area beyond. And again, focusing on using the correct scale of the built environment to really frame this street and encourage an active pedestrian environment. And then looking at our typical kind of commercial corridor that we've developed along the existing commercial road. So again, you're looking at trying to right scale the structures to encourage this public street where we provide generous sidewalks, on-street parking, and a lot of natural amenities to really activate the public spaces. Looking at a potential bike lane framework, again, we look at a hard curve to really separate the bike lane from the vehicular traffic. This is meant to provide the visual separation as well as a physical separation to encourage the vehicles to feel safe about the adjacent bike traffic as well as the bicycle traffic. And then looking at improving the adjacent sidewalks and the natural amenities that are adjacent to really promote the use of these as a transportation infrastructure in line with the Oakland County kind of guidelines for what they're looking to do with their transportation infrastructure. And then a closer look at the wetland amenity potential. We talk about using kind of a regional strategy for wetland management. Again, you have these low-lying wetland areas that are planted with the correct native plant species that encourage the natural development of this and becoming an asset adjacent to your transportation infrastructure, your hiking and biking trails that look to connect the entire district and then create this infrastructure as an amenity. And then some of the broader, lower-lying natural areas, some strategies to bring in some boardwalk type infrastructure to really create a strong amenity as the natural wetland infrastructure. That concludes the presentation of the Civic District kind of concept strategy that we've synthesized from the input from the community as well as the input from the steering committee and the previous kind of attempts at the three strategies. I'm going to hand it back over to Mike because we'll kind of close everything out and then we'll stick around for questions and discussion after.
Again, I think we just want to thank everybody for coming this evening. A lot of work has been put into this, and I think that this has been a really rewarding process for us, and I just wanted to say that from a personal statement. I think oftentimes, and I don't think what we look to do is ignore the fact of some of the difficulties that have gone on in this process. And I think that this is a community that has had a tremendous just passion about what they believe in, what they want to see within this area. And we fully embrace that. And I hope that this is something that township, library, the whole community at large, and even your extended community, right, the neighbors that kind of touch within this area, that over time that they see that the lakes area and what White Lakes Township is and what you hold dear, this becomes an opportunity for that to really speak to, as a community, that's what's important to us. And I think what we've seen is that natural environment, that connection to it. You see the library wanting to connect to it, and there's been so many things that have gone in that direction. And so I think it's been a very, just to sort of share from a personal side, a very important process for us to be able to go through, to be able to understand it. And so we understand that the plan as a whole, there may be aspects of it that, hey, over time or even now, people have some issues with, or other aspects, but between market, between policy, and between other things that'll happen, this will probably move and spill over and situate. But what it is intended to be is kind of a collective vision of what the community can be about and what to really rally around, and start to give particularly developers or other people who are moving into the area a sense of, okay, here's where we see the vision of this moving forward. So we hope that you'll understand that it can be in flux, it can change a little bit, it's not hard, cast in stone, this exact program is going here, but more of a collective vision and a tool that you as a township and a community can use moving forward. So we want to thank you for the input that we have had. We want to thank you for the passion and just the love that you have for your community. We share that as well, and I think, as we got to know you and get to understand people that are here, and we hope that it was a fruitful process for you as well. Again, just to summarize real quickly, we'll go ahead and answer any questions that you have over here, maybe more on an individual basis if you want to come up and look at these a little bit closer after having the presentation. And then again, we're going to collect all this information, add a little bit more text into what this is to give some recommendations and some other thoughts that will go into this. That'll be a booklet that will then go to the township, and that'll be available for everybody to see. So again, thank you for coming, and you're dismissed.